A lot of those reasons also stem from lack of value and lack of self-worth, right? When we don't see the value in us, when we don't see our self-worth, when we feel that there is a defect in us, that there
Right.
is something wrong with us, right? That we can't measure up, that we're not good enough to a certain standard that we feel we should be at. If we're not measuring up, look, all of that starts to question our self-worth, our self-value, our our confidence, our who we are as a person, which as the less we value ourselves, the less we're going to take care of ourselves.
Let's go. You are incredible. Your body has a purpose. Your life has a purpose. You were designed to live the best life possible.
What's going on, my beautiful friends? Welcome back to yet another episode. You're tuned in to Listen, You're Not Defeated, and I'm your host, David Hernandez. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, I invite you to do so. You can do that by clicking the subscribe button. Also, click the little bell so you can get all the notifications of our up and coming episodes. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast station, please click the follow button so you don't miss an episode. So today's topic is really looking at quality of life. And when we're looking at life, or when we're looking at health, or when we're looking at health complications and obesity, we always tend to look at one specific topic, which is the extreme cases of circumstances that can happen. But today, I really want to deep dive on the one factor that really impacts your quality of life, and why we need to take a look at quality of life a bit better so that we can really reflect and analyze what is truly going on. So without further ado, let's jump on in. We go into another Facebook Live just like every Tuesday. We bring that to you. So let's jump on in, and I will see you at the end of the episode. Peace. Mic check. Mic sound okay? Camera 1 good? Camera 2 good? All right, here we go.
Welcome, everyone. It is Tuesday. Welcome back to another Facebook Live with my amazing family. You all here, the audience, and a amazing co-host and friend, Allison. Happy Tuesday to you, my friend. How you doing?
Happy Tuesday. Doing well, doing well. Back in town from my little vacay, little
Yeah.
vacation with the family. Yes, it went well. Went to Sturgeon Bay, which is the kind of in Wisconsin, the southernmost tip of the famous Door County,
Okay.
which I had never been to before. It's about like 4.5 hours. So it's kind of like that in between trip where you're not traveling so far that you feel like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to be there? But it's a little bit further than
Yeah.
just like a 2-hour trip. So
Yeah.
yeah, I went there for a couple days and nights actually with my brother and his 2 daughters,
Okay.
my nieces, and my sister-in-law, and then we actually took my mom.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, this was like a long time, it's been a very long time since I have been on vacation with really any of my family members, but especially family members, that aren't just like my husband or my kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
So kind of my immediate family, but in particular, it's been a very long time since I've gone anywhere with like my brother and my mom,
Yeah.
really since it's probably been since before Nick was born, and Nick just turned
Wow.
10.
Yeah.
So, and then the last time it was with my dad, obviously. So this was a little bit of a different, thing than our regular summer,
Yeah.
getaway.
Yeah, I'd really like to chat a little bit about that, because I'd like you to share kind of the significance of this trip, right? Because I know
Mhm.
this actually came about when we were working together and going deep into just the self work in your own health and fitness journey. And this piece happened to be something that stood out and kind of came out to be something that also found freedom in this journey
Yes,
as you were working on your health, right? Which is really cool.
definitely.
And I want to deep dive on that a little bit today, and also touch on a couple of things that really impacts and affects us to not live the life that we truly desire. And it impacts it in a way that one factor can bleed in to producing neglect or secondary side effects that ultimately impact us in the long term, right?
Yeah.
Which I'm really excited about today's conversation. So if you're tuning in to us right now with us, drop in the comment section where you're watching from. Let us know, all you amazing audience members that tune in every single week. I would just want to say thank you. Thank you for joining us again, a brand new week, and just being able to connect with you and being able to bring this platform here for you, right? As I say it every single week, this platform is for you to bring answers to your situation, because there's a lot of information out there, right? But that information is not good information, and it's not useful information if it's not specifically geared to what you are needing. And that is the purpose of every episode that we do here on Tuesday, is to bring you insight that is going to be practical, that you need to help you live the life that you truly desire. In the same way Allison has done it, the same way Cynthia, who joined us last week and shared her amazing experience through her journey, and in the same way many of my students do, and know that it's a safe place, right? Where we want to just bring insight, tools, bring you advice through my 15 plus years in the industry and just helping many men and women through their journey. But more importantly, so that you know that you're not alone, right? You're not alone. There's so many people out there in the same place as you are, choosing themselves. And I think that is the big key here, right? And today's podcast episode that's going to be airing is really about the number one responsibility that as humans we should be taking, right? And so I'm really happy for you all to hear that. But that responsibility is putting ourselves first.
I agree.
And far too many times as humans, we tend to put ourselves third, fourth, sometimes even in last place, especially if you're a parent, right? Especially even more if you're a mother, right? What do we end up doing? We want to be the superhero, right? And we tend to put everyone else before us.
Yeah.
Kids, we put our husbands, put their husbands, they put their coworkers, they put their bosses, they put their responsibilities with their friends, so many other things, and yet they neglect themselves.
Right.
And I really want to look at that today, because when we talk about overall health, right? Or when we talk about health risks, or when we talk about being overweight, or when we talk about obesity, or when we talk about just not being at our best, we always hear the extreme.
Right.
Of like, oh, you're going to end up with diabetes. You're going to end up with obesity that then is going to lead into heart disease and fatty liver and chronic illnesses. And that can produce cancer and then end up in death.
Yeah.
We hear about that all the time.
Right. That bigger, more severe impact.
Yeah. Which it's true.
Sure. Definitely.
That can be a true circumstance for many, and is a true circumstance for many. However, what I want to talk about today is really the quality of life. Our quality of life that is impacted and that suffers because of not taking care of our health or neglecting our health.
Right.
And typically when we look at the word neglect, right, it's like it's really associated to more of an extreme case of like abuse, when parents neglect their kids, they abuse them, physical abuse, or they don't feed them, right? Like that's the extreme case of neglect. But what I'm really focusing on here is when we choose to neglect taking care of ourselves, of our health, of making our health a priority.
Right.
And when that happens, the number one thing that we tend to lose sight of is the type of life we start to live. Look, I don't think we should compromise that.
No, and you just become like complacent to it because you just are living it. And like you're saying, like you're busy with the everyday ins and outs of your life.
Yeah.
And here and there you may say, oh, I kind of don't like this, or I kind of don't like that aspect of it. But if you don't really sit down and think like, am I happy about this? Am
Right.
I pleased, with what I feel like and what I'm experiencing on a daily basis? Sometimes you just keep going through the motion.
Yeah. Yeah. Because truth is that when we don't take care of our health, we're going to start to have secondary side effects in terms of the functionality of our system, of our body, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Organs are going to suffer, right? Our muscles are going to suffer. The functionality in terms of the ability to operate, to
Mhm.
move is going to suffer. At the level our body can operate and function is going to suffer, right?
Yeah.
Our energy, our ability to have durability or sustainability throughout the day, or stamina, right, is
Mhm.
going to also suffer.
Mhm.
And when those things start to suffer, well, the number one thing that is impacted is our life, our
Right.
quality of life, how we do life, the things that we're able to do in life, the choices that we have to do. Most times, because of these things, we end up having to substitute certain things,
Mhm.
give up certain things,
Yeah.
not be able to enjoy certain things of life because our body, our health has been neglected. But here's the real kicker here, and you can attest to this, Allison, is that even in that, it's a choice.
Mhm.
In the same way, it's a choice to take care of ourselves. It's the same choice to not take care of ourselves.
True.
We had some really meaningful conversations about your health and your journey. And I think that was some of the rude awakenings for you when you started to really look at the quality of your life.
Right.
And those things started to now become red flags for you and kind of
Mhm.
alarms going off of looking at, no, wait. Something's not right here.
Yeah. Yeah. And doesn't have to be this way because I
Yeah.
don't want it to be this way, but it had
Yeah.
been for so many years.
Yeah.
I think after a while, I just got used to feeling both this way, both physically and mentally, or there would be these like cyclical, kind of events where I would be like, okay, I'm feeling better because I'm working out and I'm eating a little bit better. And I would see that like light at the
Yeah.
end of the tunnel, like, okay, this is quality of life. This is affecting, but then pretty quickly I couldn't maintain it. So
Right.
then it would go away again. So not even just the physical effects, but the emotional and psychological, mental,
Yeah.
effects of that would slip away then as well, because I couldn't keep up with the other aspects of it. So we were talking about how you would I would eat healthy, I would lose some weight, I would feel better in my clothes, I would get more energy, but then the other ways that I was doing that were not sustainable. And again, they did not address some of the core issues that were going on. So they did not hold fast, like they did not stay. And also, I now realize like they weren't addressing some of those other core psychological things that were going on that were also affecting other areas of my life other
Yeah.
than just emotional eating.
Right. Right. What specifically were some of those red flags for you that you started to recognize, wait, my quality of life is starting to suffer here?
Yeah. And like you're saying, like, I wasn't like morbidly obese. I luckily have not had any issues with, pre-diabetes or um, heart disease or any of that kind of stuff, and I did turn 41 this year. So, by no means
Yeah.
am I old, but I'm also not in my 20s. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Of
So it's
course.
like,
Yeah.
this is the time where you start to see some of these health issues come up. And for me, it was a lot of the lack of energy, lack of focus, um, just this difficulty getting out of bed. And like I
Yeah.
said, some of it was physical, but a lot of it was mental,
Yeah.
because I was stuck in this spot where I knew I wasn't happy, but I didn't know how to get out of it. And some of that was legitimately related to my out of control eating,
Yeah.
my addiction to sugar,
Mm-hmm.
which now I realize like those things were greatly affecting my energy levels, my ability to concentrate and
Yeah.
focus. And then because I was engaging in those behaviors in which I was feeling shameful and out of control, then I was kind of falling in and out of depression, every couple of weeks. Like I'd kind of pull myself out and I'd be okay and I was functioning. And then I would just want to sleep all day. Like I'd be able to hold it together for my kids and go to my job. But then it's like the other times of day, I just was not happy,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of also what I noticed more and more, a lot of kind of anger, and conflict in relation to some of my relationships. And,
Yeah.
one of those being my relationship with my mom, and another one being with my brother. And so, I have a good relationship with my mom and my brother, and I see them frequently. They live nearby. I help my mom a lot, because she is a little bit older and she lives by herself. And my brother only lives, half an hour away. So, I am in contact with them and I see them frequently. But the quality of the relationship over the past maybe like couple years, I could see was I don't know how to explain it. It was just not, wasn't right. Like it wasn't what I
Yeah.
wanted. And
Right.
what I mean by that is I found myself a lot of times like upset and angry. Angry at the choices my mom was making, angry at how I felt like her choices um, reflected on how she felt about me.
Wow. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if
Yeah.
she,
Yeah.
well, why does she keep doing this about her health? Because unfortunately, as I have shared with you, my mom has continued to not really make her health and wellness a priority.
Yeah.
And so, just dealing with that and dealing with, a parent getting older and kind of roles reversing, which is
Mm-hmm.
a natural part of aging.
Yeah.
And again, but there are some other things there that, a lot of this, just kind of my own back and forth with it,
Yeah.
with my thoughts about it. And the same thing with my brother. Um, my brother's, he's my brother and I love him very much, but he's just a very different person than I
Mm-hmm.
am. Our
Mm-hmm.
personalities are very different. We're 6 years apart, so never quite in the same phase of life. Has a little bit of a different parenting style, just an overall kind of lifestyle
Yeah.
that's a little bit different, and it's not wrong. It's just different. So sometimes that makes it a little more difficult to relate. And
Yeah.
I find that I would find myself frequently being very angry about his handling of situations with my mom or
Mm-hmm.
his handling of my communication and our relationship.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I was spending a lot of time being angry, annoyed
Mm.
with myself,
Yeah.
with my mom, with my brother, with my children. That
Yeah.
I say would be the third relationship, that I was struggling with, where I was constantly trying to figure out how I could be in control of the way my kids were acting or
Yeah.
behaving or the choices that we would make, and getting just very aggravated um, because of how I felt that I was not in control.
Yeah.
And so again, here's this like overlying issue, this control. And it's one thing to say, oh, I have a type A personality and I like, people joke about that. I like to be in
Yeah.
control of things. I like to ha ha ha. Okay, right. But there's a difference between wanting to be in control of things around your own home or, versus feeling this lack of control and
Mm-hmm.
unhappiness in all these other areas of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. But when I look at that and I hear that, the way you were treating others was a direct reflection on how you felt about yourself.
100%.
When we are falling short of the quality of life, when we are not living the way we'd like to live, when we're not truly happy with who we are as a person, we're not happy with how we look, we're not happy with how we're doing things in life, we're not happy with our performance, our ability, our energy drive, our physical drive, any of those things, anytime we are unsatisfied with us, we start to reflect that and express it on others, on how we respond to people, on how we talk to people, on how we do things in life, right? More aggressive doing things, slamming doors, being very vocal, right? Being short-tempered, being angry. So your expressions were literally expressing that your quality of life was suffering.
Yeah, again, and I just want to like stress this to people, because people that know me well would probably hear this and say, what? Like, no, you're always in a good mood, you're always friendly, you're always funny. And that is part of me. So it's not as if I was like trying to hide all this, and be this like angry person. Like, both of those people, if you will, exist within me. So I'm an authentic person, and when you see me, I'm not trying to like hide anything. I'll share these things. You can talk to my friends and family, like, know things about that I'm annoyed with my kids, or I'm frustrated by this. And so these are things that it's not like I was holding them in. Like, I was aware that they were happening, but I guess I just kind of didn't realize how profoundly they were impacting my life, until I really sat down one day and was like, God, I am not happy.
Good. Yeah.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful in general.
Yeah.
I'm lucky and I'm grateful, and it's not like I'm always fighting with my mom or my brother or my kids.
Right.
So just to kind of clarify, because I want people, to understand.
Absolutely.
To relate.
Absolutely. And it could be simply a word, the way we express a word, right?
Yeah.
The tonality in which we say a word, right? The form in our body language, in the way we're doing things, right? Can be small, subtle reflections of being either unhappy, unsatisfied, being irritated, being angry, being frustrated, right? Not fully being in the life or the person that you truly want to be. Because look, we all have that image of the person that the life that we want to have, the person we want to become, right? That we would want to be. We all have it. Yeah. And look, Disney does an amazing job of reflecting that to us, right? Of through imagination, right? Visualizing, and the prince and the princess and the king, and having this castle and living this life and being swept up by a king if you're a woman. And we envision that and we desire that. So there's always that sense of who we truly would in our wildest dreams like to be, and the life that we would like to have. So therefore, when we're now reflecting and looking at life, now bringing it back to reality, right? Not living in fantasy or living in imagination or through imagination, but looking at real life or reality, there's still a part of that reflects and looks at our life and can say, yeah, I'm not happy with the quality of life that I have. I'm not happy with how I'm performing as a person. I'm not happy with how my relationship is at home with my spouse, with my kids, right? I'm not happy with the level of income that I'm making. I'm not happy with the level of or the quality of leader that I am. And when we're looking at these things, a lot of that is directly linked to our health and how we're taking care of ourselves.
Yeah.
And if that area is being suffered, is being neglected, you best believe that majority of all these areas that we just talked about are going to be in deficit. They're going to be affected.
And it's so funny because when you say that, it's like, well, yeah, like, duh, but it's not that obvious.
That's right.
I mean, just I was living it, and it's like, okay, well, I was aware of it. But again, like you're saying, like I wasn't aware of how much it was bleeding into or impacting these other areas. This core issue, which was the cause or the deeper, why as to why I was engaging in the behavior of overeating, sugar addiction eating, emotional eating, all of those things. It's also the same reason why I was yelling.
Yeah.
I was always annoyed, and then again, a guilt factor would come into play. So it's like, okay, I feel guilty because I can't control my eating, because I'm doing these behaviors that I don't really want to be doing and I don't really know why. And I really want to try to change them. It was the same with like this annoyance, this quick to anger, this irritability. Like I didn't want to be doing it. I wasn't happy about it, but I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing. And that's what I want people to understand. Like, even if you're not necessarily struggling with very specific eating habits, just that overall, like you're saying, like neglect thereof, like not really being aware of what you're putting in your body or what you're not putting in your body, or being active or fit or any of those things. Like,
Well, because we don't want to accept and really realize the profoundness of how it's impacting us. Why? Because look, there's a certain side of us that wants to look at the brighter side of things, wants to look at the positive side of things of like, but I don't want to look at this ugly, because if I look at it, one, it's going to define something about me. It's going to say something about me as a person. It's going to accuse me. It's going to judge me. So I rather just like, let's look past it and be hopeful that like things are going to get better. And it's great to have this hopeful mentality of like being positive, being hopeful of like, things are going to change. Things are going to change. But here's the reality. Things are not going to change unless we start making changes to the areas that are in neglect that impact the actual change that you need.
Right. Right on. Totally.
And we must look at, if today your quality of life is not how you want it to be, then we've got to look at these areas and ask some hard questions and take ownership and really look at this mirror of life and say, well, what am I neglecting?
Right. What is going on?
Am I neglecting the choices of foods that I'm making?
Yeah.
Am I neglecting my nutrients, right? Am I neglecting my physical health? Am I neglecting my mental health? Am I neglecting my emotional health, right? Because it's all equivalent to health: mental, emotional, physical.
Yeah.
They're all linked to the same root. They come from the same tree. And the only thing that it has in common is you.
Yeah. That's a great way to put it. But you don't think about it like that per se. You
Of
try
course
to like
not. Right.
compartmentalize it all.
Yes. To
and
numb.
oversimplify it. Yeah.
But to also numb, we compartmentalize it so that we don't necessarily feel the pain, right, to its fullest degree, so that we don't fully become trampled on this overarching devastation that we're feeling, or unhappiness that we're feeling. We compartmentalize it so that we can numb ourselves from the pain and still be able to wake up the next morning and still be able to live life and still be able to function and do life. But here's the thing. We don't have to do that.
Yeah. That's the point. It doesn't have to be like that.
That's right.
And sometimes, like, I would say to myself, maybe over the past like 5 or 6 years, I would say, oh, you're fine. You want to lose a couple pounds, but whatever, I would try to minimize it. I'd be like, but I'd stay positive. I'd be like, oh, it's going to change. You're going to be able to this next time, this next week. But that's how I was living. Yeah. Every day at some point in the day, I would be like, you failed again. You can't do this again. Right. In whether it was because of the eating or because of the yelling or because of whatever, or this hyper focus on you didn't do this and you didn't do that and critical, yeah. And I didn't even I think I lived that way for such a long time that I didn't realize there could be a different way to do it.
Yeah. And then, and as a result of that, we start to fall into, like you mentioned, some of those thinking traps, right?
Yeah.
We minimalize things, and then the other extreme, we maximize things.
Yeah.
Right. Minimalize things. Oh, it's just something small. It's not that big of a deal. Yeah, I can do it. Right. And then we mess up. It doesn't work out for us. Then we go the opposite and we maximize. You see, you're a dummy. You're never going to be able to do it. That is why this is the reason. You're this, you're that. And these thinking traps really come when we do not confront, and we do not take ownership, and we do not truly recognize and say, look, I got to start taking responsibility about this.
Yeah.
Which is why we end up avoiding it, because when we see it and we acknowledge it, it now demands something from us. It demands an action, and that demand is responsibility.
Yeah. That's hard. It is hard.
It is very hard.
Because then you have to acknowledge that there's a problem, there's something you don't like, that you have to do something about it, that you weren't able to. And even when you first accept help, to fix it, even though you want it to be different, and you come to this point where you're ready to make a commitment, because you want things to be different, you want to feel different, you want to live differently, you don't want to do this for the rest of your life, you don't want to go down the same road your parents did.
Yeah.
Or whatnot, you're tired of feeling this way. Like, there is a point where you feel this sense of like, but then if you could just push past that and realize, like, it's not your fault. There is something you can do about this.
That's right.
I think, Cynthia was talking about this last week, that you feel this weight, kind of this like level of weight lifted off. And then the more you work on these things and the more you dig into it and find out what's going on, it releases you from this feeling like it's your fault, or it's something you should have known how to do, or and to me, that release and that lift makes all the difference.
It does.
And I don't know, if you haven't had that happen to you before, it's kind of like, it's hard to understand that.
Yeah. But it also comes in that when we have found ourselves becoming complacent, right? We've kind of fallen into some type of complacency in life, in this sense, in the same example, how you said, right? Oh, well, this is just it. I mean, I'll figure it out. It'll be okay. We just start to become complacent with our life.
Yes.
We get deeper into this pit. We get deeper into this lack of quality. We get deeper into this neglect of whatever it is you're desiring. We get deeper and we get deeper until there comes a point that if we go deep enough into this and we end up becoming so complacent with the life that we have, we will oftentimes end up staying there.
Right. Yeah. And then you're just stuck there. And then
you're stuck.
Yeah. You just,
that's right.
Even if you're not happy, or you say,
you then just to justify and and make yourself believe that everything's okay and that your quality of life is okay.
I'm okay with this. It's not that bad. Or you get it. What would happen to me is I would get into this like guilt. Like, what the heck do you have to be upset about?
Yeah.
Like, you have so many things to be grateful about. And then I would shove it down and I would say, you don't have a right to be upset about this. Look at you, you don't have diabetes. You're not that overweight. Like you have a, healthy family, and then you make yourself, again, it's just that cycle of critical behavior, but you're never really addressing.
That's right.
That core issue.
You just mask it. You just numb it. Right. And then you just simply, with judgment and criticism, find a way to be okay with what you have, and then go into this, like you say, this unrealistic gratitude, or unhealthy gratitude. That's right.
What it is.
Which is really just bashing yourself, being critical on yourself,
not really
and just
true
humiliation. It's not gratitude, right? It's really not. And because when we truly are grateful, we desire more and want to appreciate more, to continue to do more, because in that, we know that as we do, we become more grateful with what we are achieving and having. And it's not just being this false humility or this false gratitude to make you to justify the life or the type of life that you have.
That's a very good way to put it. Yeah, it's like you are truly grateful, but it's this false gratitude because you're not really happy.
Yeah,
I mean, because
you're convincing yourself to be happy.
Yeah, you're happy. You're good. You're fine. You have a really awesome husband and really great kids and your mom and your brother, and you have a good career, and you're, come on.
Yeah.
And then again, then there comes a guilt. Well, why can't you figure this out then? Yeah. Why can't you feel better? Why can't you stop doing this stuff? And again, it's just this all twisted up, complex mess, and you just can't figure out a way to dig yourself out because it is so much more than just counting a calorie.
Yes.
Or counting a point. Yes. And then, and this is the other aspect of the quality of life thing. I didn't want to spend the rest of my life on a diet, counting my points. I cannot tell you how many times it was every day. And again, that I became complacent with and indifferent to.
Yeah, that's right.
Every day, everything I would put in my mouth, everything I would fight not to put in my mouth, every exercise I would do, every exercise I wouldn't do, every calorie I would burn, every calorie I would count, enough. I'm not saying there's not a place for those when you have a specific goal in mind that you might really legitimately need to look at some of those objective goals or numbers or, but that shouldn't be your whole life.
Right.
And that's what it was for me. It was like years and years and years of in one way, shape, or form. And it was maddening then because it was like, that's all you would focus on, but it wasn't even a healthy focus, and I walk around and I see, men and women, but in my experience, more so women, that everyday talk is always involved in, I should eat that and I shouldn't eat that. And, oh, I was bad. And, oh, this is good. And, oh, I can do this. And calories don't count on holidays. And it's just mainstream now. It's like, but when you think about that, it's like, yeah, sometimes it's funny, but what that shows you is like, that's your frame of mind.
Yeah.
You are so hyper focused on this, and I have a friend she almost, it's part of her identity. She's like, me, I'm always on the next fad. I'm always trying the next diet. And sometimes I think to myself, and I did say to her once, do you like that?
Yeah.
And she avoided the question. She avoided. And I said to myself, man, I don't want to live like that. And then I realized, well, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just so used to doing it.
That's right. That's right. That's why it's really important to clearly identify what type of life, what quality of life would you like to have? What do you want your life to be like? How do you want that to be like?
Yeah. And what's funny, when you had me do some of those exercises in the beginning, I would try to rush through them because I would be like, well, I know what I want. Now let's get to it. Let's get to the point. Let's get to that. Cynthia was saying, it's like that goal oriented. Like, I want to do this. I want to get a grade. I want to get a number. And in reality, like, sometimes that question was hard for me to answer. Like, I had to do like the visualization or, the board, like, no, wait a minute. What do you want?
Yes.
And I'm a very like definite person. And I bet you if you would ask people their view of me, oh, she knows what she wants. She'll tell you what she wants. She'll tell you how she feels. But in reality, I didn't necessarily know what that meant to me.
Yeah.
And now I do. It means the quality of my relationships. It means my view of self in my relationships.
Beautiful.
It means being able to control the way I react. It means looking at myself through a different lens than I had a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and what's important to me is maybe different, than it was 5 years ago. So I think that that's another thing I want to tell people. Like, you may spout off these answers, what is happiness to you? Are you happy? Yes, I'm happy. I have a great husband and I have great kids and I have a great job and I have a home and I'm okay. But are you happy?
Could you
And
be
that's not the same
happier?
thing. It's
Yeah.
not the same thing. And I did not understand that there were some of the things that I had to understand about my own thought process.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I went through how many years of therapy? And
Yeah.
yes, that did help me. It helped me to understand what these thinking traps were and to understand the whole concept of my view of myself and how I talk to myself and what I would get caught in. But it never, and it opened my eyes to some of the things maybe that I experienced as a child.
Yeah.
Or ways I was spoken to, or ideas that were put into my mind, as a younger person.
Yeah.
But even then, how did that directly impact how I was continuing as a 40-year-old woman, grown adult, parent, wife, older sister, daughter? How was that playing out on my choices, on my thoughts, on my behaviors on a daily basis?
That's right.
I was completely unaware of it.
Yeah. So much so that when we recognize those things, like this trip became something of importance of arranging that trip. And that came through a series of questions with a conversation with your mom of really looking at, well, yeah, I've been so focused on myself and how I want other things to respond to me when we neglect really how others are feeling and how I'm making others feel around me because I'm not fully happy with who I am as a person.
Was very concerned about how I thought my mom should be living her life. I was very concerned about how I thought my brother should be responding to me.
Yeah.
And when they didn't, that was ultimately, at that time, how I would view that was a reflection of my worth as a sister, as a daughter. Like if I was a better person and I was better at these things, then I would be able to convince them to take better care of my mom's health, to respond in a way that I thought was the right way to respond to a sister.
Yeah.
And that was exhausting.
Yeah.
Exhausting. And so these things are all happening along with, why can you not control what you're eating? Why can you never keep this, sustainable? Why can't you sustain this lifestyle, this eating this way or exercising this way, or, and now I understand why. And so, I was finally able to come to a point where I could step outside of my own brain, my own self, and say, what is really going on here? Like, what are you really upset about with your mom, with your brother? Like, well, I'm mad. Okay, we know that. Why are you mad?
That's right.
And we would really have to well, I'm mad because da 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 da. Okay, why? And I could not have done that for myself. I guess that's it. I think it's nearly impossible for a person to realize when they're thinking about their own cognition and their own thought process, sometimes to be able to do that on your own.
Yeah. Well, because we become our own block, right? In the sense of that we want to have it right. We want to be in control. We want to know everything that's happening to us when in reality we have absolutely no clue. And we can't get to that because we have this that's holding us back from getting to the truth of what's really happening. And when we look at why we neglect self and why we neglect our health and why we start to put ourselves in the back burner, well, a lot of those reasons also stem from lack of value and lack of self-worth, right? when we don't see the value in us, when we don't see our self-worth, when we feel that there is a defect in us, that there is something wrong with us, right? That we can't measure up, that we're not good enough to a certain standard that we feel we should be at. If we're not measuring up, look, all of that starts to question our self-worth, our self-value, our confidence, our who we are as a person, which as the less we value ourselves, the less we're going to take care of ourselves.
Right.
The more we're going to neglect ourselves, the more we're going to avoid ourselves, not wanting to give ourselves time, not wanting to pay attention to certain things. And not only that, but we end up destroying ourselves more. Why? Because if I feel of less value, if I don't feel worthy, if I don't feel of any certain standard of value, then why the heck should I take care of myself? And that's where we then fall into the even more destructing pattern of not only neglecting our health, but then destroying our own self, bringing self-destruction, more pain, more hurt on ourselves, which then accelerates the neglect on our health and then gives us an even worse quality of life. Then we come back and we try to justify, you see, you're just not worth it. That is why you have the life that you have.
And that's what you deserve. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it really becomes something devastatingly toxic.
Yeah.
When we don't really want to look at the things that we are neglecting, the things we are not taking responsibility for, the things we are not owning up to, saying, I am not being responsible enough as I should to take care of this area. I'm not being responsible enough in the choices that I'm making, in the nutritional choices, in the choices that I'm doing for my overall well-being.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say, but also then stopping that judgment on yourself, like admitting I'm not taking care of this, and then saying, what am I going to do about it?
That's right. That's the next thing.
I'm going to get help. I'm going to fight for myself.
That's right.
You know, I'm going to fight for it. Cause I think that that's a turning point where it's like, you get there and you're like, that's why everybody wants quick fixes. And that's why there are so many things on the market. Some obviously have some more value than others because people, they do want to do this for themselves.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, well, let me just grab this. Let me just try this. Let me just do this, you know? And then when it doesn't work, all you do is dig yourself into a bigger hole. So I just want people to know that, like, we understand that, like, you've been there yourself. I've been there myself. You've watched so many of your clients be there where and that's the thing. It's like, not only do you have to say, I'm not being responsible for it, but it is okay to know that I need help.
Yes. That's
like
right.
People just think you can like watch a video and I should be able to do this myself and I'll pay for this and this will go fast and I'll count my points and I'll, you know, I mean, I'm not, you know, saying that none of those things will work or will teach you. And I know that there's people for every different technique or program that have had success. Yeah. And that's great. And I'm not saying that one day they're not going to have success, but that's why it's individual. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, yeah, that's great that worked for you.
Right.
But it doesn't work for everybody.
And in that point, it's when we recognize we are neglecting it, it's about doing something about it, but not stopping until we're able to get the quality of life that we want. Because I think there comes a point, like you say, many try. They try this, they try this, they try that. Why does the fitness industry is the multi-billion-dollar industry, and why do they take advantage of people? It's because of that. They understand they are in such a vulnerable state that they know they are hurting themselves. They know that they are not living the life that they want. They know that they are emotionally driven, that they can paint them a picture that looks so beautiful that you're going to release this amount of weight. You're going to lose this. You're going to be able to have your bikini body. You're going to be able to have this. You're going to be, all you need is this. People are in desperation for it because they are tired of this life. Yeah. And yet when they go after it, it's false hope. it's false judgment, right? It's all unrealistic long-term reality,
Right.
that it does devastate you. But here's what I want to drive home to you today. You are worth fighting for, and we've got to keep fighting for it, because until we don't have our lifestyle or the thing that we are using as the vehicle to help us get healthy, and if that doesn't align with our lifestyle, with who we are as a person, for example, with you, Allison, and the type of life that you have, the things that you do, if I came and I taught you a totally different way that was not sustainable based on your life, and I didn't teach you how to make that sustainable for you, you would have not achieved what today you are living.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
when we first recognize, yes, I'm neglecting this area, I'm neglecting my choices, I'm neglecting my health, we ask that question, we start to decide and paint a clear picture vividly, writing it down, even imagery in a form of visualization for yourself. What type of life would you want to have? Do you desire? What is the quality of life that you want?
Yeah.
Then we look at, okay, what can I start doing today? What actions can I start doing today? Then we look at, I cannot do this alone.
Right. And if you do not, like, how many times did I start something and I thought, okay, I can do this. I'll do this one little thing, one little thing, one little thing. And it becomes overwhelming. It becomes overwhelming. And, or, okay, yeah, I could do it. I could get some of these things back. I could get some energy back. I could release some weight. I could get in this size. I could do that. But in order to maintain that,
Yes.
I mean, I look at these people, again, keto is, one of the things that I tried. I did lose weight quick. I did feel like I had more energy, no doubt. But like, for the rest of my life, I'm going to have to try to maintain this crazy. I still meet people that they're like, oh, I just don't eat carbs at all. Or I only eat like 50 carbs a day. Or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and they say, oh, I love it. It's fine for me. And so I try to, really believe, like, okay, I can't judge just fine looking for someone. Absolutely. But I think to myself, anything that you have to work that hard on is not sustainable.
That's right. Yeah.
That's
and
what
that's why it comes back to identifying what is sustainable for me.
Yeah.
And taking action with that consistently will give us the quality of life that we desire.
Yeah.
But it starts by taking responsibility and really being honest with ourselves. Am I neglecting my health?
Yeah.
If so, how is my quality of life being impacted?
That's
because the truth here is your quality of life should not have to suffer, and you should not have to compromise with the quality of your life when the quality of your life can be completely impacted and positively increase and positively become better when we focus on our health.
Agreed. 100%. And that's what I'm experiencing. I didn't really realize that I wasn't very happy, or where I was. Because again, and that's what I guess I want the takeaway from, this to be like, just because you're not horribly unhealthy or, to the point where you're really struggling with even running around with your kids or, because I wasn't to that point yet, but I look back and I'm like, I was not happy in all these different areas. And that did and was impacting not only my relationship with myself, which I believe then does bleed into what kind of mom you are, what kind of friend you are, what kind of daughter, what kind of sister.
Yeah.
But it also impacts your relationships directly, I mean, and once I started to understand why I was behaving the way I was behaving in these other relationships, then it like gave me this release, like, okay, you're not just mean or angry or a bad sister or whatever. Like it took this, again, here we go again, like it lifted this weight a little bit. And so
Yeah.
then I could say, okay, yeah, these things do bother me. And
Mhm.
these things are things that I think I do want to bring up and I do want to talk about. But I would have never, a year ago, let's say last summer, I would have never thought to say to my mom, like, okay, what is something that you want to do that you're not able to do? Instead of saying,
Yeah.
oh, well, you should be doing this and you should be going to physical therapy. So you could be getting out and you could be driving and you could, I, and then furthermore, then being able to take that information and then go to my brother and say, here's an idea. Would you want to do this? Like that would have never crossed my mind because I would have been so annoyed
Yeah.
with whatever was going on in my mind about their choices or their
Mhm.
behavior. And I would have missed out on that. And so to be able to have done that, it was a good time. Was I ready to come
Awesome.
back? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
like, it's not like I was 15 again, wanting to live with my mom and my brother. No, thank you.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like we had a
Yeah.
good time and I was able to know the reason behind what we were doing,
That's awesome.
and yeah. And I feel grateful for that because again, I would have not been in the headspace to think about that,
Mm.
to want to do that, and then to actually do it
Yeah.
a year ago.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's beautiful. And as we come to a close today, look, I want to just leave you back these questions for you to kind of ponder on. And I'd like to get your final thoughts on this as well, Allison, before we close. But really, I want you to take a look at your quality of life today and really ask this question: am I really happy with the quality of life that I have? Is my quality of life suffering? Is my quality of life the best it can be? And then I invite you to really start creating or crafting or writing or imagining, what would you want your quality of life to look like? What would you like it to be? If you can describe that quality of life, the quality of your relationships, the quality of your physical ability, the quality of your energy, the quality of the things that you do, your performance, or the quality of your business, of your work, of your finances, the quality of the shape of your body. Can you get very specific about how you would like that to be? Look, I really invite you because I want to start activating this curiosity within to no longer live life if today you are living complacent or trying to justify the lack of life that you have and trying to find a justification as to why you're living that, or to try to just numb the pain that that's brought and try to just be complacent and reason why you have that quality of life, but to get curious and to know that you can have the life that you desire. You deserve to have that, and you should not allow your life to suffer and be in neglect, because it can change. And it changes when we start choosing the life that we want. And then I really just want to invite you, what's one thing today you can start doing? What's one different choice you can start making today that is in line with that quality of life that you so desire? What's one choice? What's one action? What's one thing? Forget about trying to change it all in one day. Forget about trying to change your life completely in a fast way. Just one thing. What's one thing you can commit to doing today that is in line with the life that you desire? Because that is the beginning, my friends, of small changes that can get us on the road of having the life that we truly desire. Final thoughts, Allison?
It's just kind of what you just said kind of made me remember, as what I would consider myself to be a very goal oriented person. Perhaps in younger years, too much so,
Yeah.
where that's how I evaluated myself. I was really good at making long-term goals and
Mhm.
big goals, and not very good at making short-term goals. And so in line with what you're saying, like there are some things, just small things that I didn't even think of in terms of, like, for example, my morning routine,
Yeah.
my evening routine, like
Right.
things that it didn't even occur to me that if I could kind of evaluate them, um, see what my satisfaction with them was, maybe try something just a little bit different and see how that could directly relate to my long-term goal.
Yeah.
You help me really break that down. And so again, like those one little thing that you think will not affect your big goal and get you to your big goal, that's where the work is. Like that's where those little things, and some of them are easy,
Yeah, they
some of
are.
them are harder, but I really think that that's what I want people to take away, that breaking it down into smaller pieces and much, much more manageable um, parts
That's
is
right.
is something that really helped me.
Yeah. And one very, very simple thing that you can do today is, if you're not happy with your quality of movement or with your physical abilities to do things, is every time you go to the restroom, do 5 to 10 squats every
However you
day.
do them, however you can do them,
Don't matter how you do them,
some squats.
just do them.
Yeah.
That is one thing you can do today that will start to be in alignment with the quality of life that is currently different than your life today, that will get you on the path of getting closer to that quality of life. One thing, simple. You go 5 times to the restroom each day. That is 5 to 10 squats each time. That is 25 to 50 squats every single day, and it takes a matter of seconds.
Mm-hmm.
My friends, I want you to know that you can do it. There is nothing stopping you but yourself. You can craft and design the life that you desire in the same way Allison has done it, in the same way Cynthia has done it and is doing it, the same way many of the people that I have the privilege of coaching are doing it, and you can do it too. And if at any moment you're going through this process and you're just lost and you don't know what to do, look, I'm here to serve. I'd like to support you. I'd like to have conversation with you. If you want to connect with me, look, it's very simple. There's different ways to connect. You can drop in the comment section here. You can send me an email to listennotdefeated@gmail.com, listennotdefeated@gmail.com. You can also connect with me through my website. We can have a more intimate conversation the same way Allison has done, the same way many others have done. Go to my website, www.davidhernandez.co. That's davidhernandez.co. Let's connect through there. And if we're not already connected on social media, let's do that. You can connect with me at Dave K. Hernandez. That is my handle, at Dave K. Hernandez. And let's connect and have a conversation. My friends, thank you so much for tuning in with us. It's always a pleasure. Another week. We're so grateful for you joining us. So grateful for you to just listen and spend some time with us. And I hope that all the information that we've shared today has been valuable. And if so, look, come back to us next week here on Facebook Live. If you haven't already subscribed, click the subscribe button. You can always follow our podcast and make sure you tune in every week on Tuesday and Thursday. Allison, as always, my friend, it's always a pleasure. Good to see you back. I'm glad you made it back.
Yes.
And I'm getting married in less than 2 weeks.
I know. I was like, shh, are we sharing this? Is this information common knowledge?
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
Very excited for you.
We will be back next Tuesday on another live. I know I have to go pick up some family members at the airport. We'll see how that time plays out. If not,
Okay.
we may have to postpone it. But nonetheless, it's super exciting times. We will be celebrating an awesome day with Naneth and I, my fiance, and
That'll be great.
It's going to be awesome. Thank you for everyone that's been just sending lovely messages and just that's going to be joining us today, or that day rather, on July 16th. And just thank you. Thanks for joining me on this journey, my friend. I'm super excited for having you in my corner.
And thank you for making this possible. I think, I'm sharing this information more and more. And so if you're hearing this information and you have ideas or thoughts, I mean, I would really like, reach out and tell me your input.
Yeah,
That would be great. Or questions,
absolutely.
things that you're wondering about. And then that way I can, bring them. Even if you can't make it onto the Facebook Live itself, maybe this time doesn't work for you.
Yeah.
The fact that we do, release these archived then later, and then also into the podcast format or, YouTube. Yeah, just listen and take from it what you need.
Amen. Well said, my friend. Well, have a lovely night, Allison. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Say hi to the kids and your husband for me. And everyone, Facebook family, I love you. Audience members, take care. Have a blessed night. And we will see you on the next episode. Have a good night. Peace.
Good night. Bye-bye.
And that, my friends, is the end of today's episode. Quality of life is so important. When we are looking at life, it's one life. We have one body and we have health. And health is what impacts everything of those areas. Quality of life is most important because it's not just about living. It's not just about making it. It's not just about surviving. It's not just about making ends meet or simply getting by. Life should be a quality aspect. Life should be a standard that we set for ourselves, and quality of life is a specific standard that we can set for ourselves, because the beauty about quality of life is that you decide and you're able to define what that looks like for you. So like I invited you throughout the episode, look, really reflect on today's questions and really be honest with yourself and look at, is your quality of life lacking? Is it suffering? Is it the level of quality that you truly want for you, for your kids, for your family, for your environment, for your business, for the things that you are chasing or striving after? Because remember, your health impacts all of those areas because it's bigger than you. It impacts your environment, impacts your kids, your relationships, your family, your spouse. It impacts money. It impacts your emotions, how you feel, how you look about yourself, the way you speak, the way you walk, the way you talk. It impacts everything. So why not make a really definite analysis for yourself today and really start looking at and focusing on what is the quality of my life? Because when we start making that shift, I promise you, the outcome is just that. We're able to raise the bar of the quality of life when we start to focus on our health. And really not simply settling for a normal life, but try to raise that bar to an extraordinary life because it's there for you as it is for me. So if you found this information helpful, look, I invite you, if you haven't already subscribed, click the subscribe button so you can also stay tuned for all the other episodes, and click the little bell so you get all the notifications of our up and coming episodes. And if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast station, whether that's Apple, whether that's Spotify, whether that's iHeart, right? You can find me on all your favorite podcast stations. By clicking the follow button, you'll be reminded and get notifications and updates of every new episode that I release. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I bring a brand new episode, so make sure you tune in and share this information. Look, the purpose of this is to give you value, to provide insight, to help you live the best life possible. And if you know of somebody that could benefit from this information, let's not be selfish. Let's share that. Let's invite them. Also invite them if they want to join into the Facebook Live. All the information is there down below in the show notes. And if we haven't already connected, let's do that. I'd love to connect with you, get to know you a little bit better. We can do that on social media. I'm on all social media platforms under Dave K. Hernandez. You can see my handle there down below at Dave K. Hernandez. You can also shoot me an email if you have questions about a specific topic. Maybe a topic that you would like us to discuss, or questions in line with the things that we have been discussing in the previous episodes, or even about today's episode. Send me an email, listennotdefeated@gmail.com, listennotdefeated@gmail.com. And if you would like to have a more intimate conversation, Look, let's say you're in a place where you're just stuck. You're tired of dealing with the same things. The information is resonating with you of what I'm talking about. You're dealing with emotional eating, stress eating. You are struggling with your own psychological understanding of food. You've fallen into destructive patterns that are leading you to a not so satisfying life. Look, I'd love to have a conversation with you. And it's a simple connection that we can make and have a conversation to see how I can support you and how I can serve you. To do that, you can go to my website, www.davidhernandez.co. davidhernandez.co, you'll see it right there at the bottom. Go ahead and go there and let's schedule a conversation. Look, thank you so much for tuning in. I want you to know that I'm here for you. I love you. You're important. Look, I lost my childhood best friend at the age of 21 to obesity, and I made a commitment that in that journey, I would make sure, as long as I can impact somebody or support someone, I was going to do it. I wanted to avoid them to go through what my best friend went through. 15 years, 16 years now, heading into, I'm holding myself still to that today, and I want you to know that I'm here for you. So don't ever hesitate to reach out. Send all your questions that you might have, but more importantly, know that you are incredible and that I am here to serve you. Thank you again for tuning in. You are listening to Listen, You're Not Defeated, and I'm your host, David Hernandez. Remember, you are incredible. You are not defeated. Go out, crush it, and live your best life, and I will see you on the next episode. Peace.